Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast. And that's why I always put lotion on beforehand instead of after. Oh, hey, we didn't notice you walk in. Welcome. This is the podcast, Alcohol Beyond This Point, hosted by Willows Christopher from Axe Capital. And my name is Tyler. I'm from the 80s.
I think that's the farthest we've ever gotten that you did the intro. So I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
How you
I'm
doing?
usually half asleep by this point, but you know what? I'm really trying today.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know, right?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good to hear. Good to
yeah,
hear.
it's been a pretty, I guess, I don't know. It's been a week, I guess.
It has been a week.
Yeah, I guess it's been a week. Had my 3-year anniversary with my girlfriend, which was pretty.
You have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Cool. 3 years, hey?
Yeah.
Cool. Are we counting that part where?
Yep.
Okay. Great.
No, trust me, it was a little bit difficult to nail down when's our anniversary. So we just figured out a rough date, and we're like, this is it. Didn't have the cleanest start to our relationship, so.
Yeah, but who does?
Yeah. So anyway, we just picked a fucking arbitrary date and then said this is it. And yeah, so we celebrated that yesterday, or not yesterday, Monday, and tried to recreate a first date. And then the bar we went to, Sioux Soul, is just not open 3 days a week.
Oh yeah. A lot of small bars, especially for COVID, are closed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's pretty common.
Yeah. Yep. So couldn't go, and went instead to the Pump House, which was
Oh yeah, cool.
dope.
I haven't.
It is gorgeous.
Is it as good as it looks in the photos?
Yeah, it's better.
For those of you who don't know, someone made a bar out of an old water pump house.
Yeah,
here in Winnipeg. So
yeah, used to supply the fire hydrant system in Winnipeg, and crazy thing about it is it was built in 1906, so pre cranes and gas powered machinery. It was moved by horses with block and tackle, and then they built the crane system, they built the foundation, then a steel crane system, and the whole thing is below grade level. So then they roll up. It was shipped by steamship from London, from Manchester, which is where it was manufactured, because I guess that was the pinnacle of manufacturing back then. Shipped from Manchester to a port in Quebec, and then loaded on train from Quebec to here, and then block and tackle by horse from the train to the building. And then they built this crane system and lifted it up off the ground and dropped it into place, and then they built the building around it.
Did you learn all this while you were there?
In the menu. Yeah.
It's in the menu. Okay.
Yeah, super cool. And the machinery is massive, and apparently when it was built, this was one of the most one of the most advanced infrastructure systems in the world, and it ran evidently for 85 years. It only got decommissioned in 86.
So I have 2 questions.
So it's pretty cool.
I'm only going to ask one of them, I have 3 questions. I'm only going to ask 2 of them, and it's going to depend on how you answer this first question. Is it more of a bar or a restaurant?
Restaurant.
How is the food?
I only had drinks. Damn it.
If you said bar, I was going to say, how's the local beer selection? We should probably stop talking about a restaurant that nobody
It's really cool.
outside of Winnipeg
See,
cares about.
One thing that we used to do, me and you, was every week we would go try and find a new place, and we just go to a different new restaurant or a bar or something.
Yeah.
And if you have not done this before,
What happened to us, Tyler?
I don't know, a global pandemic.
Oh yeah. Also, the day it was Wednesdays was the day that we would take to go find a new bar, and we've replaced that with the podcast.
Yes, also that, and I also moved to Morden, which didn't help.
But then you moved back.
Right, but we already stopped at that point.
Well, I guess when did you move back to Morden? Was that before the pandemic?
A year before, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Or 9 months before.
Fucking COVID has been going on for a while, eh?
Yeah.
We're coming up on 2 years.
Long time. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it doesn't really look like it's getting better.
Go figure.
And now Pfizer's being oh yeah, you're going to need a 4th shot. I'm kind of like I'm kind of like subscribing to the whole like anti-vaxxer, like when does this end? When can we just go back to normal?
Well, as long as it takes to get the pandemic under control, which is not going to happen until like
So never.
it can be minimized, but like you need 80% of the world's population vaccinated, or maybe even 70 to like slow it down reasonably, right? Or at least get it. Forget about stopping the stopping the virus or slowing it down. Just like get it to a point where it's not crashing healthcare systems,
Yeah.
or disrupting businesses or
Yeah.
whatever. And once you get it to that point of quote unquote control, where it just exists all the time, I mean, fine.
Because it will.
As long as vaccines are available to the people that want them,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you're unvaccinated and you're willing to risk it, I mean, fine. As long as those people aren't so numerous, they're overloading the health system, which is kind of happening in some places. But
Risk it for the biscuit.
yeah,
This is never going away. Probably, right? You're going to get a yearly booster, and it's just going to be a new thing.
yeah, probably. I mean, it's going to be one of those things. Like just because it sucks doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be dealt with. Like, I'm on the side of the fence of like, yeah, get vaccinated. Yeah, there should be precautions taken, but it's not because I think that the pandemic is fine. I agree, it fucking sucks. It's very damaging. But at the same time, if you put into perspective, like the fucking Black Death and those, all the plagues that have happened in history, those usually would go in like cycles of like 3 to 5 years, where it would like flare up and it would just kill off a bunch of people, and then it would kind of go away for a little bit, and then it would flare up again, and it would basically be every generation, so out of every 15 years, 5 years is in a plague. And that was like that for like more than 500 years.
Yeah, but we also thought that like ghosts in your blood caused
Well, that was in
diseases.
addition to, right? But like people definitely have understood pandemics for a very long time. Like quarantining has been a principle since I think it was the Italians.
Well, it's written in the Bible.
Well, that was, yeah, I mean, kicking people out with leprosy. I mean, like quarantining like a ship before it came into port. It was was it the French? I don't know. It was anyway, European country made ships sit at anchor for like a week before they would let them dock. And it worked for a while. And then they intentionally didn't follow that, and then infected an African country that they're trying to colonize and let the plague kill off a bunch of people. It was great.
It's great.
So they understood it. But anyways, like this just been happening forever. And I think when it'll end is when we come up with really effective antiviral drugs. Like, it's the treatments. It's those, like, the Black Death would still be a thing if we didn't have antibiotics. Like, that's just how it is. And there will be forever viral pandemics like this until we get better drugs, which I think will happen because people are there's going to be resources behind it, because fuck this. It sucks.
Yeah. My life's pretty much back to normal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like,
Except my
it's like a quote unquote new normal, but
my business is severely still impacted.
yeah.
Like, my bar still has restrictions. I can't sample, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like, as far as my social life goes, like, I can still go out.
Yeah, I was
And,
at
like,
I was
whatever.
at Leo's, whatever local bar here, and it was like packed. It was totally normal.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're not doing capacity restrictions anymore. We're just doing masks while you sit down,
Yeah.
and then masks when you are not seated.
Yeah.
Satan.
Yes, all those words.
Masks when you're not Satan, and man, I don't know. I'm exhausted. I still don't have my van back.
Yeah, how's the Sprinter?
So bad. I don't like it.
Why?
I don't know. I think I've driven our friend John's Sprinter before, and it was much nicer. This is like a base model. So I have a Mercedes-Benz Metris. It's a cargo van.
Little small boy.
Well, yeah, it's like the size of a cargo van, like a
Minivan.
like a minivan, basically. And we bought it for the business, but I daily drive it, because why would you have two cars? Fuck it. But the timing belt went last week. It's under warranty, so it's all fine. They said it was a 2-day thing. This was 8 days ago. I called them after 3 days and went, hey, where the fuck's my vehicle? And he's like, yeah, I was about to call you. When they went to go put the belt back on or whatever, I guess something was fucked. I can presume it's the pistons. If
your timing belt goes, it can destroy most of your
That's
engine.
what totaled my PT Cruiser, was the timing belt.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're like, okay, well, we don't really have loaner cars right now, but like I rounded up a fucking Sprinter for you, which is the big Mercedes van. And this was like a Thursday. He's like, I got the part fast tracked. It'll be here tonight. We'll do all the work tomorrow. It'll be done for the weekend. Friday night came along. I'm like, this isn't going to be done, is it? So I started packing up for my market on Saturday morning. And then now it's Wednesday night. The following week. It's been 8 days that they've had that mattress. And yeah.
Is this your neighbor that's working on it?
Maybe. No, he's like the parts guy. He doesn't actually do.
Oh, sorry. I thought he was the cargo van guy.
No.
The commercial guy.
Well, it's like, yeah, he does like everything, but
okay.
He's like, he does the parts mainly.
Yeah.
He's not actually like the
mechanic,
the jockey or whatever. Yeah, completely out of coincidence, my next door neighbor where I live for the last 3 years is the guy who like works on my van.
Yeah.
Because we only have one Mercedes dealership in Winnipeg. Just because like we're like a couple years ago, like right when we started talking, right? We were just like talking over the fence. And I'm talking to his wife, and he comes up and he's like, "Hey, I just whose mattress is that?" I'm like, "It's mine." He's like, "Oh, I recognize the license plate." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, because this is before it was wrapped with my logo, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, I literally worked on that yesterday." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm a fucking mechanic at Mercedes." I'm like, "What?" Like, it was just the weirdest small world thing. Like, they employ 13 mechanics and he's one of, like, I don't know. It's just a weird small world thing. So I'm gonna I haven't seen him this week. I've been busy, but next time I see him, I'll be like, "Ryan, you fucking fix my timing belt."
You should go bang on his door right fucking now, or right when we're done this podcast and you're good and drunk.
Well, and then petrol right now is $1.45 a liter.
Ooh, yeah. Let's talk about petrol. For you Americans, that means gas.
For you Americans, we go by liters, not gallons.
Yeah.
So a liter is, or 1 gallon is 3.78 liters. So $1.45, multiply that by nearly 4.
Yeah.
So we're paying like what, $6 a gallon?
Somewhere around there.
Not quite, $5.50 a gallon.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty high for America. Well, America's like fucking really low, right?
Usually, yeah.
So I refuse to fill this Sprinter up
because it'll be $200.
Well, no. And no, I'll like if I have to get gas, I'll just put in fucking $10. But fuck you, fix my van. Like, I'm not putting gas in your fucking vehicle. So I'm at like a half tank right now.
It's $5.48. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm at like a fucking half tank right now, and I refuse to fill it. They better be fucking done by the time I run out of gas. I swear to fucking God. I think a very large tank, as far as I can tell, because I've been driving it all week, and I'm at like a half tank or less. It's probably not very good on gas.
I mean, doesn't it also have a really big tank?
Probably not as big as the Sprinter, right?
It's probably close.
Yeah, I
drove cross country with like not even 3 tanks.
Yeah, we drove to BC on 3 tanks. No, yeah, fucking surprisingly gas efficient, and especially on the highway.
And for those of you that don't know, BC is what, 4,000 kilometers?
Yeah, about 4,000. About 30-hour drive.
I'm not converting that to miles because fuck you.
I don't even know how to do the miles to.
It's like 1.67.
That's such a weird.
Don't even get me started.
Feet to miles.
The feet to miles is I have no idea what the fucking number is. I don't think anyone does.
It's like 7 digits, right? It's so weird.
And the last one's not a 0.
That's a weird system. What is it like? It's America and like Grenada that use imperial, and like everyone else uses metric.
The right system.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about petrol.
Sure.
So you had a busy week. Tell me about your week, Willows.
Just work, right? Okay.
You had 2 interviews. Please elaborate.
Fine. Yes, I was live on TV today.
Wow, TV? Is that like what your parents watch?
Yes. So anyway, okay. So what happened was, on Saturday or Sunday, I get a text from Hal Anderson, who's a pretty big local radio host here. He's like a talk radio host. He has a show where, like, say that name to anyone, they probably know him in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Like he's a local celebrity, I'd say. You'd say, right? That's fair to say, I think.
As much as a disc jockey can be.
So I was on his show in 2017 or 18, like shortly after we opened the business.
Yeah.
Because it was like National Drink Local Wine Day, and he was just like doing his show.
Yeah.
And he's like, why don't we have any local wineries? Someone called in and was like, yo, there's this winery, it's called Shrugging Doctor. They make great shit, whatever. And the only reason I know about this is because my father was just listening to talk radio.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He emails me.
Yeah, and your father emails because he doesn't have a phone to text.
Yeah, he doesn't have a cell phone. So he emails me in all cap. He'll do this thing where he capitalizes every letter except the first one. Because I don't think he knows how. Like,
right, he's cap locks, but he's still hitting shift.
Yeah, and I don't think he can really read the screen from with his eyes. But he's not that old. He's just a boomer. But
that's pretty old.
Anyway, so he emails me. He's like, "Hey, Hal Anderson is talking about you on air right now." So I do have a cell phone. So I see this email. I go to fucking, you can listen live on their website or whatever. And I hear him talking about us. So there's a contact me form or whatever. I fill out the form. I'm like, hey Hal, my name is Willows. I'm the owner of the company that you were talking about just like 5 minutes ago, right? 10 minutes go by. My fucking phone starts ringing. Or because I put in my cell phone, right?
Yeah.
My phone starts ringing. The call display, Hal Anderson. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, hello.
Nice.
He's like, hey. Fucking jumped on this as soon as I saw your email. Do you want to come to my show tomorrow?
Nice.
I'm like, yeah, lit. So Zach and I went down. This was pre-pandemic, obviously. This was like 2018. And yeah, he did like a whole like 15-minute interview and everything, which is like in like prime time. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And like for like a year, I was getting boomers being like, I heard about you on CGOB. Like,
oh yeah, that's awesome.
Because that was like my demographic, right? Like these older kind of whatever listening to talk radio. And anyway, so that's
also another way to describe it is it's a podcast for boomers.
Yeah. So that's the context to this story. Fast forward to 2021 on Sunday, I get a text. Hal Anderson cell phone, because I had his number saved in my phone. Hey Willows, I'm hearing right now there's a bunch of shortages for things because of the pandemic and Suez Canal and whatever. One of the things that keeps coming up is wine bottles, glass shortages. Do you know anything about this? So I text back, yep, my fucking wine bottles are up 30% cost. And not only that, but my corks are doubled in price. My seals are doubled in price. My labels are fucking more expensive. The drought this year, we had a pretty bad drought. I think most of the world did.
Yeah, literally. It's bad drought in America, in Canada, in Europe. It's like, okay, great.
So most of the world had a bad drought. That was really problematic. Then I'm like, yeah, Canada, America, and Europe, most of the world. Anyway, but we all had a drought. So the cost of my fruit's way up. Shipping times is way up. Like it's not a great time to be in manufacturing right now.
Also, if you live in Russia or mainland China and you have these fruits,
hit me up.
Call us.
So I responded all this information. He says, wow, yeah, we're running a story. Come on at 11 a.m. tomorrow. We'll talk about it. So I'm like, lit. So it's just still a call-in thing because still COVID. They don't let anyone in the studio. So I called into the interview. I was trying really hard not to seem like I was complaining.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want, because like you never know. Maybe I think about this, but other people don't. But like you listen to someone on the radio and you're like, why is this person on the radio right now?
Right.
Did they pay? Did they pay for this spot? Did they Did they, get asked? Whatever. Right. This was one of the first times. There's a couple times in my brief political career that I got asked to be on programs to like give my expert opinion, but this is like the first time in my life that I've ever been like, oh, we're doing a story about this. You're an expert on the subject. Do you want to come give your opinion? Yeah. Which is super cool. Like that's I feel really good about that.
I've been on a panel once before for like a banking seminar. Yeah. And the bank wanted to like know about small business or whatever. And I was on a panel and it was fucking awesome.
It's super cool. Because then they basically just like believe whatever you say, right?
Oh yeah. So, the vice president of like RBC like bought me a drink and just like we chatted for a while. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Anyway, so I do this in about 8-minute interview. I was trying really hard not to be like, oh, like buy my shit or I'm gonna go out of business. I was like, and I obviously didn't plan anything. I was just going off the dome, but I was like, I'm like, I empathize with the farmers. They got to raise their prices, but like, and then he's asking me like, are you trying to, are you going to raise your prices? I'm like, I don't want to, like, like all this, whatever. So, people were telling me it was a good interview. Whatever. You can watch it on this. If you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/votewillows, that's where this podcast is posted every week. You can also watch the interview. I posted it under the playlist Shrugging Dr. Beverage Company. Anyway, so I go on this interview. It's good, whatever. Next morning, I get woken up at like 7 a.m. Number I don't recognize. Pick it up. I go, hello. Just kidding. And they go, hey, it's Global News. We listened to your interview on CGOB yesterday. We thought it was really good. We're running a similar story. Do you want to come on TV and give your opinion, basically? And then I'm like, yeah, for sure. Or no, what did I say? She's like, yeah, you just have to get on at, we air at 6:50 a.m. for the morning show. And I just go, 6:50 a.m. Hey, she just starts laughing. She's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I can make it work. She's like, okay, great. So they sent me a little form of like 5 points that I want to get across. Yeah. And they were really good, fucking efficient. Like, so I get in it's a Zoom as well. Yeah. So I get in the Zoom. They have the main stream, which is like muted, and then just like a production assistant, whatever, like named Mike. He's like, hey, and like gives me the rundown. And then like right before I get on, the anchor comes on to talk to me, and she's like, okay, I saw your points. We're going to do this. We're going to transition to this. We have 4.5 minutes. Like, yeah, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go. And just pounded it through. It was funny because like I had about half the time that I had for the radio interview, but I was trying to condense the same amount of information. So it ended up being like half just me pitching my business. Yeah. Because she's like, oh, where can people find you? And I spent a minute doing that. That's already like a quarter of the, the interview. So, but it was funny because I have the studio here where I do like live streaming and stuff, like just across. I'm gesturing to it if you're listening to the audio version of this. And I have my webcam there and everything. And then in the background of the webcam is this recording studio where we're sitting, and you have the giant Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast poster on the wall. So I was on live TV with that the logo of this podcast strategically framed in the background of the shot. Yeah. So now we're gonna add it to our social media as featured on Global News. Yeah, but Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast as featured on Global News. Yep. So that was my couple days. The last like today and yesterday. We're gearing down into winter farmers markets, which are a whole different thing, but we're also gearing up for the holiday season, which starts getting busy. It's the 28th of October today. Do you have a lot of bottling? Coming up, yeah, in November, prepping for December. Right, because you learned the hard way.
yeah, let's kind of stay on the supply chain topic because I mean this is
Explain what this is before we keep talking.
Yeah, like since when am I the one reminding you that this is a business podcast? This is a old fashioned made with Wild Turkey Buffalo Trace.
Those are two different brands.
Or sorry, no. I thought the Wild.
You had Buffalo Trace in your house the other day.
Yeah. But no, it was. What was the type? What was the? It's got a different name. Buffalo Trace is the brand. What was the drink name?
That's just it's Buffalo Trace. It's just a bourbon whiskey.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't know. I forgot the fucking name of the which shelf it was on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, but it's like your mid-tier Buffalo Trace, and it's aged for 5 days with some botanicals from our local from a local company here called Baltic Brothers.
I would call them my friends. We're business acquaintances. We're on good terms. We see each other in the industry. So
yeah, so they make these like botanical packages. I guess you just like you. So I put the liquor into this mason jar, 500 milliliters, and then you dump in the packet of botanicals, and then you soak it or you marinate it, I guess, for like minimum 5 days, and then you serve it up, and it tastes like a cocktail. So it's a really sweet, simple way to have really delicious, professional tasting cocktails at home. So it's a really great idea.
They also do like pre-mixed, like bottled stuff. I've only ever had their pre-mixed stuff. I've never had one of these before.
Yeah, and those are
because
those are quite a bit more expensive.
I can't wait 5 days to drink.
Correct, but so I
never buy these.
Yeah, but I paid $10 for half a liter of old fashioned.
Sure, okay. So cheers, and this is my blind reaction. I will cut it out if it's bad. Yeah, it's good. No bite, eh?
It's very smooth.
You just get the bourbon taste with like no bite at all.
Yeah, it's good bourbon. I've definitely realized I'm 100% a whiskey guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether Scotch, bourbon, whatever. I'm 100% a whiskey guy.
How are you with the peat? Like, where do you like with the peated? Like how smoky?
Are you referring to the picture I sent to our group chat?
What did you say?
I'm like this drink tastes like a bag of peat moss got hit by a tree.
I was just editing, I think episode 43.
Yeah.
The other day, and we took a shot of that botanical whiskey.
Yeah.
And then what I said, I don't remember saying this because I was drunk, I guess, but what I said was, it's like I just took a shot of whiskey and then ran up and bit a pine tree.
It was like I just like stuck my head in a bunch of peat moss and then got hit by a tree.
What whiskey? The Buffalo Trace?
No, that was a Bowmore 15.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I mean, it was like a $18 single, but Bowmore is pretty peaty, and I don't know. I prefer like smoky wood over the peaty flavor personally.
Peated is smoky.
I don't know. Some literally just taste like a bag of moss.
That's fair.
Some taste more like the barrel. Some taste more like the peat.
Have you had that Lefroy guy I have?
I think so.
I think I gave you a drink of that. That's the most peated whiskey I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, Bowmore would be below that.
That tastes like a fucking... you know what it reminds me of? What I was saying? When Mitch smokes meat.
Yeah.
For like a day. And then you fucking eat the like crust on the outside of the fucking like beef, and it's smoky. That's what that whiskey tastes like to me. So fucking good. It's pretty expensive though.
Yeah.
That Lefroy. The fun fact, the fourth most expensive bottle they have in the liquor mart is a Lefroy bottle. It's like a $17,000 bottle.
Yeah, and for reference, that's like 30%, 40% taxes.
Probably, but
anyways, we're not going to bitch about our liquor prices anymore.
We've done that enough. Not today. You wanted to keep talking about supply chains because this is a business podcast.
Yeah, so you're dealing with some explosive fruit prices.
Yeah, because of the drought.
I think we talked about this last time.
We did talk about this last episode.
Doubled again. Yeah, I think the LNG story, the liquefied natural gas story, just keeps on trucking along. And we live in a province where they have like single. I don't know what the system's called exactly, but basically like the province has like has the purchasing power for natural
Yeah,
gas.
single buyer, right?
Yeah, single purchaser, single payer system, and they have very long-term contracts that are quite inflexible. But I guess even those contracts have a breaking point if the price goes past a certain
I think
point.
they probably have a clause that says if it goes over this. Because the news is the provincial government just approved a 17% hike in our natural gas rates.
Which is a lot less than it could be. A lot less.
So inflation's at 4.4% right now.
Yeah.
In our country, which means if you didn't get a 5% raise this year, you lost money.
Right. And the inflation number is often less than the actual increase of cost of living for most people.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, okay, so we have, before you start adding more costs to, like, let's talk the average consumer.
Yeah.
Like, we're both business people. We're buying fucking tens of thousands of dollars of fucking manufacturing supplies constantly.
Yeah.
Our lives are a little bit different. But let's talk the average consumer. No business, full-time job. So before we start adding anything up, inflation's at 4.5%, 4.4%.
Yeah.
So right away, if you didn't get a raise this year and you have money in the bank, if you just lost 4.4% of your money.
Right, if you're holding cash.
Yeah, if you have cash in the bank, which I think I don't know, what do you think the, little bit of a tangent, but what do you think of this percentage of Canadians that have more investments than like a GIC?
I'd say it's pretty high because a lot of people have like
a financial advisor or whatever.
Yeah, have financial advisor, or like through their work they have RSPs and stuff.
Pension funds are stock are managed. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So those, in that way, there's most people have some exposure to the market, but
not that they're aware.
But they're also getting tons of fees probably taken off, management fees.
Yes, of course.
And so they're probably making roughly half of what the market is making.
And if you just fucking download Wealthsimple or Robinhood and just trade ETF funds.
I was going to say just buy big-ass ETFs.
Yeah. Well, I was reading... So I both of... Or you haven't really, but we have a group chat where we day trade.
Yeah.
Crypto and stocks. I'll caveat, my stock portfolio or my crypto portfolio is fucking doing bananas right now.
Yeah, everything's up.
I'm up 40% on the month on my Ethereum.
Yeah.
And I doubled down when your girlfriend's brother told me to.
The Oracle.
Because your girlfriend's brother is, I don't know if we should talk about.
It's
fine. He's like a crypto millionaire.
I actually nobody knows how much he has
because he doesn't.
All I know is that he will win and lose 5 figures a night.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will.
Yeah, but he's like super smart, right? He's like a fucking.
Yeah, he's got like 2 degrees in like computer science and engineering.
Yeah. Anyway, but so you were saying in our Wall Street Bets group chat, you were like, yeah, I'm just talking to Carly's brother right now. He's like, buy more because this was
he's like barring any global upset,
Ethereum is going to the moon.
He just said bull market on all crypto till New Year's.
Yeah. So I bought. That was I had a bunch of Ethereum, or a bunch. I had like $1,000 of Ethereum at like 2,000. No, like 2,900. That when he said that, it had peaked to like 45 and then dipped down to like 36 again.
Yeah.
I bought another 2,000 at 36.
Yeah.
It's up to 55 right now.
Jesus. That's awesome.
I've made like fucking like $1,600 in a month.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What he said specifically is like
I am probably going to sell before New Year's though.
Yeah.
That's what I've been hearing too.
What he said specifically is like the bears always have fun in October, and the crypto market just goes bearish in October. And he was like, he went into more detail about it. I don't remember what he said.
Yeah.
But like he was explaining why, and then he's like, yeah, but I think it'll be whatever bullish till New Year's. So he's like, I'm just letting everything ride.
Okay. Anyway, so that's one thing. We're on 7 tangents here. Secondly, my stock portfolio not doing very well.
Yeah.
Most of them are stocks that I picked myself.
Right.
I'm probably down 5% on the year,
Which is 15 below the market.
It's fine. I have like $1,000 in there. It's fine.
Yeah, and you were not diversified. You were just picking stocks.
I was just picking shit that I liked. But yeah, I lost a lot of money on like weird weed stocks and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you don't lose till you sell. It's fine.
I was gonna say we have a mutual friend who's like got a bunch of. He's like, yeah, I've had a lot of option calls a lot of margin calls.
Yeah.
He's just like having such a bad time. He just started buying like collector sports memorabilia because he's like, fuck my stock portfolios. Now he's just buying like sports memorabilia. It's really funny.
So but I was on investor TikTok the other day, and they were saying, or someone had statistics that were like 97% of people that try to day trade lose money.
Yeah.
Just buy ETFs.
Yeah.
Do the same thing that you're doing already on Robinhood or Wealthsimple, but instead of buying individual stocks, buy ETFs. Put all your money in there. When it goes from like 3% success, it like flips it to 97% success.
Yeah. It's just diversification. Most people can't pick stocks successfully because don't try to time the market. Don't try to like pick specific stocks.
When I started doing this, I was like, yeah, I can day trade, man. Like, and then I go 4 days of work and I don't look at my stock portfolio. And I'm like, oh fuck, I lost so much money. I could have made money if I was looking at it. Like,
I think I think it has more to do with that than anything else.
What, that I can't
Yeah.
devote the time? I think so too.
Yeah. You need to make a career of it.
Yeah. I think you're right. Because between all of us in our little group chat, there's 6 of us.
We still can't keep on top of shit.
But between all of us, we have like all that we keep picking winners.
Yeah.
Because we'll like shout out something in the group chat. We'll be like, hey,
That's true. Like the ones that we've mutually like kind of agreed on within the chat have generally been winners.
But all the time, because like one of us has like not inside information, but like, you know, has like industry information, and then he'll report that in the group chat, and then our other friend is really good at reading financials, so he'll comb through the financials and then all this, and then we'll do all that shit.
And I'm watching usually macro.
And then like a week goes by and the stock's up 20%.
Yeah.
And then we're like, did anyone actually buy it? And everyone's like, no, I didn't have time.
Yeah. Bunch of fucking morons.
Like, yeah.
But
we do that. We've done that multiple times. We're like, no, the markets were closed. I didn't make time.
Yeah. At this point, we're just like, you know, we're going through the motions, and it's in a lot of ways you're kind of doing a dry run. You're practicing, you're paying attention, which I think counts for something.
I think, yeah, just like, well, for instance, I was going to buy Dogecoin at 2 cents, and it went to $1.
Yeah.
I had everything. There was no reputable exchange in Canada.
Right.
I tried to like put in money. It was like my bank blocked to buy because it was like,
yeah,
you're buying some fucking sketchy whatever. I was gonna buy. I don't know how much I was gonna buy, but I was gonna buy at 2 cents. If I had bought $1,000 at 2 cents, I would have made 20 G's by the time I decided to sell. Now I could spend the rest of my life being like, oh fuck, that's like a down payment to a house. I'm gonna kill myself. But I was able to spot an opportunity and had the like willingness to capitalize on the opportunity. That's a skill in and of itself. Because like I always hear people that are like, oh, if I had fucking invested in Amazon,
right,
you know, I'd be a billionaire right now. It's like, yeah, but there's 100 Amazons right now that you can invest in
that you're not paying attention
you're not paying attention to, right? Like
one
having the skill to be able to identify that and act on that stuff is more important than whether you actually make money. Like, you know,
I actually heard a very I guess like it's kind of depressing story from a client that this was like I typically work for wealthier clients, but this was kind of more like average middle class, and they were retired. And he said he was talking about I guess we were talking about stock markets and stuff like that. He was very happy to have someone to speak to that was, I guess, not his wife.
Also,
being in the pandemic,
I don't want to be that guy, but I assume a lot of contractors don't really understand the stock market.
No, he was very enthralled with our conversations. He would we'd have like an hour lunch every day, and he'd like give me beer, so I'd like continue talking to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he worked for Canadian National Rail, and even if you're an American, you know what that is because they've been in the news recently. They acquired what is it, Kansas Southern.
So ended?
Yeah. It was like it's like the biggest rail acquisition ever, like billions of dollars. But anyway, so CN was not that big of a company, especially when he started. And they had, I think it was a structure where you could either take like your annual bonuses as either...
Oh, yeah, in stock options or in cash.
Yeah, stock options or cash. And he said he took most of his bonuses in cash. He took some stock options, but most of them in cash.
Yeah.
Because he's like, whatever, it's stocks. He didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
But he said a bunch of his coworkers, or most of his coworkers, took the options.
Yeah.
And he's like, and it just went up like a lot. So these guys had, maybe $100,000 in stocks by the time they were, getting close to, within 5 years of retirement. And then they split the stock, and then it popped again, and it just kept going up. He's like, yeah, a bunch of these guys are, probably close to $1 million in stocks, in stock options, and it continues to go up. So it's like,
well, a lot of
fuck.
companies will,
and that was like the company that he worked for too, right? That would have been, it was literally a freebie.
a lot of companies will do more stock. Like here's your bonus for the year. You can either pick $5,000 or you can pick $7,000, but it has to be 100% in stock, so you can't sell for 5 years.
Correct. Yeah.
A lot of companies will do that because then you don't have to pay out your bonuses. You retain a lot of money.
It's really good for liquidity for the company and the double bonus of now your employees are invested.
Yeah, and they don't want to quit because they own a bunch of you.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone wins.
Big companies do that. Small companies do that. Or maybe not small, but like medium-sized companies will often, or maybe not often, but I've heard personally of situations where a medium-sized company will give stock, 2% or something to somebody to keep them employed.
Yes.
Right. Small businesses typically will be like, okay, we'll cut you in as a partner of like a 25% partner.
Yeah, and there's a Canadian, like a Saskatchewan startup. When I say startup, but like, I don't know, they were a 30-year-old company by the time I heard about them. I say startup because they grew to be probably, I think they ended up selling for somewhere between $300 and $400 million.
Okay.
And they were basically a software program that would allow a small to medium-sized company sign up, and they could have their stocks, or I guess shares of their company, bought and traded on this platform just for their internal shares. And employees could go onto this platform and like they had their bonuses, whatever, that would reward people shares, but employees could go on this program, purchase and sell shares.
Just one company?
Just within your company.
That's weird.
Yeah, so it creates like an internal stock exchange.
Yeah.
And which solves the problem of like if you have a bunch of stock in this company and you're like, oh, I want to go buy a house. How do you go about liquidating your shares? Do you go to HR? Like you talk to your supervisor?
You can
like,
just do it on the app.
Right. Then they got to figure out who's gonna buy your shares, and what do they do? Put it on the fucking bulletin board in the staff room. Like so it's really really cool program, and it was purchased by Goldman Sachs for like 200, 300 million. For no, 3 to 400 million.
For the tech or for the company?
For the whole company.
No. For like, what did they buy it for? Like often a giant company like Goldman will... I'm
assuming they just wanted to like acquire the business and be like, oh, we're going to take this small Canadian business and fucking blow it up across.
Because like often a lot of companies will like, okay, buy companies just for the tech, liquidate the company, get rid of them, and then just keep the IP.
I think they were going to keep the company intact.
Okay.
And just like throw their weight behind it.
Okay.
Which would do a lot. Like, oh, this is a Goldman Sachs company, and you go, you approach... what have you, any company. It's like, yeah, we're Goldman Sachs backed.
Yeah, that's
come in, sir.
The largest stock exchange in Manitoba is grain. The grain exchange.
Yeah.
You can trade grain futures.
My office used to be like a door down from the entrance into the grain exchange. They have like the underground entrance from the Richardson building.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, we got very sidetracked. But the average Canadian maybe has a stock portfolio managed by their business or their work. Maybe doesn't, right? But if you didn't get a 5% raise this year, or you had money in the bank, you lost 5% of your money right now, just from inflation. That's number one. Now, minimum wage did not go up.
Not that much.
No,
it hasn't gone up in the last year.
Your gas costs just went up 17%. That just got approved.
Natural gas.
Petrol for your vehicle is double what it was this time last year. Literally.
Yep.
It's $1.40 a fucking liter.
Yep.
Like,
well, almost double, yeah.
Dude, it's fucked. My van's $120 to fill.
Yep.
It's fucked. And then on top of that, your groceries are more expensive. Meat's fucking more expensive.
Yep.
Because of supply chain issues. Like,
well, they just don't. They called a lot of herds. They shrank the size of a lot of herds because of drops in demand.
Yeah, and then the drought. We're fucking seeing news articles every day now that are like, you're probably not gonna get toys for Christmas. Like, supply chains are fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, not only did you just you lost 5% of your money, and then on top of that, everything got more expensive. And then the government, our federal government, is just, I mean, I shouldn't complain because I think 60% of our listeners on Spotify are from America, and they got one $600 check, and that was it for COVID relief.
Well, there was EI programs and top-ups, and like, if you were in those programs, or was certain states, this is the weird part about it, but like there's a federal top-up to state EI.
Okay, I don't know how that works.
So let's say your state EI pays $500 a month, or $500 a week.
The feds would like top it
They
up.
would top it up.
Okay.
So that was what a lot of people were pointing fingers to. Like, this is why people aren't going back to their jobs, because they're making $800 a week to sit at home.
Ugh, I hate that. Then pay more, right? See, I'm a fucking uber capitalist. We both pretty much are, but I am more than you. The free market will figure it out. The free market is figuring it out. And you're not paying. And you're not paying enough.
The free market is also the labor market. So
fuck off.
Fuck you if you don't believe labor is a part of capitalism.
These fake fucking capitalists.
Yeah.
You know what I did when I couldn't afford employees? I worked 24 hours a day and didn't sleep.
Yeah.
You can go fuck yourself. What do people do? Because the government has decided not to extend COVID benefits, CERB, anymore. We were getting paid $2,000 a month in Canada if you qualified.
And qualifying was very easy.
Yeah.
There was like no vetting.
There was no vetting, but now they're going after people that like tried to scam it.
Yeah, but like only the worst offenders. They're not going for people in the gray area.
I was reading yesterday that Canada audits like 4,000 businesses a year. It's like,
yeah, it's a tiny number.
Anywhere near.
They do not have the manpower.
Yeah.
To do shit.
Yeah. Hilarious. Even my accountant, like my fucking CPA, like owns his own accounting firm, is basically like, yeah, you can kind of operate in the gray area because they won't be able to. They don't have the manpower. And then if they look into it, pay the fine. It's cheaper than like whatever. Like,
this is how this is how the capitalism in Canada and the U.S. works. Like, it's cheaper to pay the fine and fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Than it is to obey the rules.
Well, pretty much anything, like any law that I can't go to jail for, I'm down to break.
Yeah. So tangent. Right now, the Democrats are proposing the tax you're talking about of like taxing unrealized gains.
Oh my god!
I actually heard like the clarification on it, and it does make sense. But,
okay, well, let me give context for this first.
Yeah.
So I was bitching yesterday in the group chat that Biden's administration wants to tax quote unrealized capital gains, which means if you own one Bitcoin and it goes up in value from $50,000 to $75,000, they're going to tax you like that was a $25,000 gain,
Yeah.
even though you haven't sold the asset. You haven't made any money.
Correct.
But they're going to tax you anyway.
Yeah.
So
And here's why.
that's the context.
Because anyone that has, more than, 10 million net worth, whatever.
I did read into it. You have to make over $100 million a year for this to apply.
No, it's 1 million annual income or 1 billion in assets.
No. It's $100 million.
Or sorry, 100 million annual income or 1 billion.
1 billion in assets.
Yeah. So it's like literally like 700 people this applies to.
But historically, they apply taxes to the rich.
Which, by the way, it doesn't count for Trump because he doesn't make enough money.
Got him. Historically, you apply taxes to the rich. That doesn't work on the rich, so then they expand it to the middle class.
Correct. Which
That happens constantly.
they've sworn up and down, which I mean doesn't count for shit.
Biden
but,
also said he'd take the kids out of cages and fucking.
Hey, they're out of cages. They have beds now.
No, they have a bed in a cage.
That's not relevant.
Okay. Don't trust this man. Is what I'm saying.
No, where I was gonna say is like they're with taxes, especially when you're talking about the wealthy. It's virtually an honor system because, for one, they can hide their wealth. There's supposed to be a ton of enforcement capabilities lent to the IRS in order to actually collect this,
And there's not.
but even still, even if they close all the loopholes, they're like realistically enforcement and investigation, or just enforcement services to collect this tax will likely
Cost more.
net zero as to what they'll collect, and that is 100% what the billionaires are going to count on, and they're going to be like, yeah, fuck you, I'll fight you in court forever.
Yeah.
And there's a 5-year grace period from when it takes effect to when they actually have to pay.
That's one of my favorite things for like tax evaders.
Or they have 5 years to pay. Sorry, not a grace period, but
One of my favorite things is if you ever get caught like tax evading, as long as it was within 7 years,
yeah,
you're not tax evading. You just haven't reported those taxes yet.
right.
So as soon as you get caught, report them all, and then you haven't done anything illegal because you have 7 years to file your taxes.
Yeah,
You'll pay a late fee, but doesn't fucking matter.
yeah. The late fee's not much.
2%, I think, of what you owe.
I think it's 2% per month.
Still, it's better than jail.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, 2% per month past due date of the taxes that you owe.
So that's a business.
So if you owe $3,000, it's 2% of $3,000 per month. So it's like it could total up to like $300 a year.
So that's my business tip of the week is evade your tax.
Defer. No, you fucking can't, because if I was a billionaire and I saw this newscast, I'd call my accountant. I'm like, you see the news? You're like, yeah. I'm like, all right. We'll talk about it in 5 years. All right.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. Who do you think the first billionaire is that's gonna renounce his American citizenship?
That was actually a major point of the bill. Is even if you renounce your citizenship, the taxes still apply.
Good luck.
But the thing is,
I'm not a citizen.
It's
fuck off.
It's
what
like
are you gonna do?
they do all their business. It's USD, U.S. companies, U.S. bank accounts. Like you can't really get away from it. They have to work in USD. Most of these people own primarily U.S. assets and have U.S.
I guess, yeah.
They can't get away from it.
Because they can come to Mark Zuckerberg's fucking Menlo Park address and chain the door shut if you don't pay the taxes.
Correct.
Yeah,
they said citizenship would not affect these taxes.
And I guess like when you're a billionaire living in America, it's probably the best option.
Exactly. And it's not a very high tax rate.
Fair.
It's fraction, like all the wealth,
but think
about these wealth taxes that they've talked about proposing, they're like fucking 2%, taxing 2% of your wealth, and people in the middle class are like, Jesus fucking Christ, I wish I could pay 2% in taxes.
But think about like
and the billionaires act like it's the end of the motherfucking world.
Facebook,
pay 2%.
Facebook, maybe not Tesla, but like Facebook, could absolutely be run from not America.
Yeah.
right? You could just put your server somewhere else, be like, hey, employees, we're Facebook. We have $1 trillion.
But
we will relocate you to fucking
but 90%
South Sudan. Like
90% of their, I heard this today, 90% of their staff is for inside U.S.
Facebook.
clients and operations. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the United States of America, right?
No,
Like,
not like 90% of the staff works on U.S. Facebook users and U.S. Facebook ad buyers. That's 90% of their staff.
Really?
10% does the rest of the world, even though like 80% of their users are in the rest of the world.
That's interesting because they make more money probably from America, right?
90% of everything is U.S. centralized.
Elon Musk, as of yesterday, is the richest person that has ever existed in the world.
Awesome.
Scaled for inflation, richer than Rockefeller.
Yeah.
$240 billion. And as Tesla passed $1 trillion valuation.
Casual.
Yeah. That's
Fucked.
cool. On this podcast, I feel like we were talking about how the Bezos, Musk, Buffett all became 100 billionaires. That was like a big thing.
Yeah.
And now he's worth like $250 billion. It's been like 2 years. Not even though we've been doing this podcast.
I think, I don't know what to think about Tesla. I know like real investors.
Tesla
and
stock's
traders,
over $1,000, I think, right now.
It's so fucking overvalued. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
I'm sure you've heard the numbers, but
I'm a big Tesla fan, and I think their stock's overvalued.
like Musk thinks their their
Yeah,
stock
because
is overvalued.
he'll get on Joe Rogan and be like, my stock's overvalued, and then it goes down 20%.
But he legally can't say that anymore.
Not anymore. He got FTC fucked.
Well, he could never say it, but now he really can't say it, because if he does, he'll probably just get booted out of the company forever.
Nah, he has control still. Allegedly.
Well, I mean, he
has no control over Tesla, but the board of directors is Kimball, like his brother, and like a bunch of like family friends. Like he still absolutely is pulling those strings.
Yeah. So
they wanted to put him in jail.
Yeah, good luck.
Exactly.
He was like, I'm going to the moon.
He will literally go to Mars before he goes to jail. Also, he'll go back to fucking South Africa.
Right.
One of my favorite...
I don't think they have an extradition treaty with the U.S.
The South African hip-hop duo, or trio, I guess, D-Antwoord. I remember, which people from South Africa hate them, but in the rest of the world they're really successful.
Yeah.
I like them. I'll say I like them.
I'll take you too.
But where are you two from? Britain?
That was a joke.
Okay. Ninja, the main guy from D-Antwoord. I remember one time he was beefing with like a California rapper.
Yeah.
They were like fucking with him, whatever, beefing with him. And he was like, dude, like, you are so below, like in Johannesburg, where I'm from, we just kill you.
Yeah.
Like, we literally kill you and your entire family, and the cops don't do anything. Like, you're
talking about gangster shit?
Yeah.
You don't know nothing.
You don't know a fucking thing. You're California gangster. You have a fucking 9mm pistol. Like, the shit they do in Johannesburg, where they're literally dismembering and raping, and like it's fucked. Like, if you look at the news stories in Africa.
Yeah,
and he's like, bro,
if you can get into these like Facebook groups is where it is, because Facebook doesn't censor shit if it's not US or Canada. This was actually in the recent like Facebook files, whatever they got released in the last week. One new news organization created a fake account. It was like Middle America conservative Christian mom, and they're like, okay, how long does it take to get radicalized? It was less than 36 hours, and they had more than 5 recommendations for QAnon groups. Then they did one for an Indian resident, and within 3 or 4 days, they're like roughly half of the news feed is like public executions. They're like, I've seen, the person that was the reporter that was doing is like, I've seen more bodies in the last week than I've seen in the rest of my entire life as a reporter.
Wild.
And they're like, this is just from Facebook because they don't do fucking shit.
Because they don't care about the third world.
No, they don't do any content moderation. They don't.
It's fine.
They don't flag. They don't remove posts. Like, stuff can go viral and circulate for weeks, and they'll only remove like the most egregious offenders. And even then, to get around that, all they do is they switch languages. Because there's what, fucking 28 languages in India. They only monitor like 2 of them.
That's interesting.
So they just switch languages.
That's super interesting, actually. You have keywords flagged.
Yeah.
So they come up automatically. They get flagged, and then a human checks them out.
Right.
Switch a fucking language.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
And obviously videos can just get infinitely reposted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're like, yeah, I've seen more mutilations, torturing, and public executions and killings on Facebook in the last 2 weeks of having this profile than I've like seen the rest of my life. And it's fucking disgusting. But like,
So anyway,
I saw on, I was also used to be friends with a South African person, and I looked on his social media, and the fucking videos on his news feed of, people being like gutted and skinned in the street. Like fire. He showed me the video. There was a fire in a bar in Joburg, and something like 250 people died, and there was just like, it looked like a zombie movie where there was just like waves of people like just throwing themselves off this 3rd floor balcony, and there's just like, you could hear like the smack of bodies as they're hitting the street, and it was just like pandemonium, and the guy filming was laughing.
Yeah,
was like,
it's
what?
It's
and he's like,
wild
yeah,
out
this
there,
is
man.
like a daily occurrence.
Yeah, I mean, like, Joburg is the, I think, sexual assault capital of the world and carjacking capital of the world, to the point where the city of Joburg put up CCTVs on every single intersection in the city. Still doesn't help.
Because they can't enforce it.
One of our friends is from Johannesburg, and she lives here now the last 3 years. And she said they would tell you if someone, what they would do is stand in the road and hold hands.
Yeah.
So that you would stop, and then they would come up and shoot you and steal your car. Because she said in Winnipeg, when you get mugged, they point a gun at you. They say, "Give me your wallet and your phone," and you give it to them. They run away. In Joburg, they point a gun at you. That you say, "Give me your wallet and your phone." They give it to you. They shoot you, so there's no witnesses.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were saying,
or they just shoot you and don't take your wallet.
yeah. Well, they were. Our friend was saying, when they hold their hands and block the road, the government's like, "Yeah, just run over them. Just speed up.
Oh, it's like
Just run them over."
It's like those U.S. governors that said it's legal and
To run over
perfectly fine to
protesters,
run over
yeah.
protesters, which
It's
I think
fine.
is awesome, especially since the police are out protesting.
Anyway,
right now.
so this was coming all around to my point was Elon Musk should just be like, "Dude, I'm from fucking Johannesburg." I don't know if he's from South Africa. I don't know if he's from Johannesburg, but
yeah,
can I get your phone? Hey, Google.
probably not. I don't think mine's enabled.
Is it? Oh, it's not.
Not while it's asleep.
Oh, okay. Where was Elon Musk born?
Oh yeah, where's Elon Musk from?
Born.
Pretoria.
Pretoria is outside of Joburg. They have good wine there.
Yeah, from a fucking wealthy family in South Africa.
So, our South African friend always compares Winnipeg to Bloemfontein in South
Okay.
Africa. It's this just because South Africa's either mountainous or like ocean because they're a peninsula, right?
Yeah.
But Bloemfontein is just flat. It's like a prairie. They can't grow anything. It's just this weird whatever. So she describes Winnipeg as Bloemfontein. The most famous person born in Bloemfontein, J.R.R. Tolkien,
Oh,
guy who wrote The Lord of the Rings.
I don't think you needed to clarify that, but
Yeah, his father was a British military officer.
right.
They
of
were
course.
occupying South Africa at the time.
Of course.
Had him on a military base in Bloemfontein. Yeah. Weirdest. Like, he's very British, J.R.R. Tolkien. Obviously, he's not. Yeah. I don't know. I was like Google. I was reading about it, and I'm like, what? What? Notable residence? J.R.R. Tolkien? What does that mean? Yeah, apparently.
Notable residents, not the locals.
Yeah. Anyway, but Elon Musk should say to Biden, bro, I'm from Pretoria. Come fuck with me. And then launch a literal space rod, tungsten rod from his satellite.
I wish.
So, what are the odds Elon Musk has weapons on those satellites he's been launching?
Not zero.
Not zero. I think probably pretty low, but not zero. Do they check them? Do the government check them? Like, does NASA look at these things before he shoots them up?
I'm sure there's got to be some inspector.
Someone, right?
But I don't imagine he would be that expensive.
Yeah. Here's $1 million.
Yeah.
Please go away. I'm going to launch these missiles into the sky.
Yeah, they've gotten in trouble a bunch of times because they've like launched, and if you wanted to actually launch something without oversight, you could just like float it out into international waters and fucking launch it.
Fair.
It's like you're literally getting inspected for like what's your flight path, so like the FAA or whatever.
So you don't get hit by a plane.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of it's fucking space. Like there's no space governance.
Space Force.
I wish.
There is a Space Force. Remember, Trump made one.
Right.
That's real.
Super effective.
We all thought it was a joke, but no, that is a real thing.
Yeah, and literally the only people that abide by it are the ones that want to.
So, yeah, I mean, like if I was launching fucking Elon's just like attaching shit to the International Space Station.
Yeah, he's got.
I'm like, you can just do that.
It's international.
Like, I guess. No, he like made a module and like attached it to the fucking ISS. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, that's. What do you think about the? Speaking of wealth, unspeakable wealth.
Yeah.
What do you think about the recent statement by the UN saying 2% of Elon Musk's wealth could solve world hunger?
Why does that money need to come from private? Like,
why not? I think is the point.
Because defund it's a fucking straw man argument. They're just trying to get you pissed off at Elon Musk and not like the 1% of 1% of the American army's spending could solve world hunger.
Yeah, but the UN can't take shots at the U.S. military.
No, but here's what I'm like. But this is my opinion.
Yeah.
Is that why does that fall on private citizens to deal with when why do we have governments? Why do
here's my counterpoint.
The United Nations is a world government. Why do we have that if they're not going to fucking feed people?
It's the UN is an idea. It's not a government. I think the reason you do this is because they know that the argument of getting, for example, the U.S. military to do something about it and realize that, hey, here's a hot take. You're the U.S. military. Your number one goal is to keep Americans safe.
Sure.
And also enforce U.S. interests abroad and spread U.S. influence. Here's a fucking hot take. Solve world hunger. Use your vast resources and logistics capabilities and your fucking guns.
And then poor terrorists won't come kill us because they're fed.
Just focus on, like, we pulled out of Afghanistan. Take the Afghanistan budget.
Yeah.
Spend it on aid work.
Yeah.
And I don't mean pay contractors $20,000 per cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I mean fucking
do it yourself.
Legitimately DIY.
Send Americans.
Yeah.
That have to fucking file payroll and shit.
Right. Send Americans. Go solve world hunger.
Yeah.
Like, build some granaries. Like, just go do that. Use the same budget. Don't change a fucking dime.
Yeah. Go
do that for 5 years and tell me violence against America won't go down a millionfold compared to going to war anywhere.
If people walk in with American flags on their hats and just start handing out food,
not just handing out food, but like building infrastructure.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
What does the military is like, for one, like one of the best transport and logistics companies
dude, have you
in
seen
the
those
world.
videos of them building like bridges in like 10 seconds?
Yeah. It's
They
like,
have these like fucking bridges that clip on to hold each other on either side.
yeah.
It's like a feat of engineer. That's a Da Vinci invention, I think. The bridges that like keep themselves together with no supports. They can put those together in like literally like 20 seconds to get over a fucking river. Like they're just like boop, 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 boop. It's like, okay, you can't build fucking roads. Like,
Yeah,
give me a
exactly.
fucking break.
Exactly. They have like these they have these trucks that like lay down their own road.
Yeah.
You know, so you have one truck in the front that's laying down road and a truck in the back that's picking up
Yeah,
the
they were
road.
using those in World War II to go over
Yeah.
in France.
Yeah. So use military logistics and tell me this won't decrease. Like, put away the drones. Use the drones to
Yeah.
drop food. You
Yeah.
fucking monsters. Stop blowing up weddings.
Shoot condoms at weddings instead of
Like-
fucking missiles.
Take
No, I, like,
take sophisticated military age males and blow up their weddings. You know what you're gonna get? Enemies.
terrorists. Their kids are gonna come kill you later.
You know what would happen if you did that to my wedding? I'd be a motherfucking terrorist.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, so here, like, I
Even if it was my own country.
I don't want to say I'm getting more left because I think I'm getting more anarchist,
Yeah.
but I think I'm
Anti-authoritarian.
yeah, I'm already so off the deep end. But I think my political philosophy in the last 6 months has gotten more like the government should be taking care of its citizens, not the government should be getting out of my way, because I realize that the government will never get out of my way. But I will never, ever support higher taxation when the government just wastes all that money.
Yeah.
Like, the tax the rich for what? So they can fucking bomb kids?
Yeah, so
For what? What am I paying for? $1 trillion for the Pentagon?
reason I'm super in favor of all this social spending that the U.S. is talking about doing is because it's genuinely a good thing. 90% of people are in support of it, Republicans and Democrats. 90% of all Americans are in support of it. And everyone's screaming about this is, it's a $6 trillion bill. Now it's cut down to $3.7 trillion. And now it's cut down to $1.7 trillion thanks to fucking Kirsten Sinema, the sellout. And that's the pitch. That's the marketing. It's a $1.7 trillion bill. It's an ungodly amount of money. But on an annualized basis, it's between I think now that it's been reduced, it's at about a quarter or a fifth of the Pentagon budget. So put that into perspective. 20% of military spending is going to be spent on the entirety of the population for the betterment of everyone. Like, fuck the price tag. It's not about that. Like the social spending plan is like a quarter to a fifth of the Pentagon budget.
Yeah. So I'm an expert
Clearly.
in economics, right?
Absolutely.
I'm getting
The
called.
the most X of all the perts.
Okay, well, Global News called me on to be an expert, right?
Oh.
So
I forgot you ran that shipping company. What is it? Zim? What's that? Chinese conglomerate that owns
Anyway.
most of the world.
So here's what I'm thinking. You can't just print money, right? Because it causes inflation, right?
Well,
Right.
not necessarily.
Okay. But can you buy food in Nigeria's a bad example. South Sudan, do they have a currency? Probably not.
Yeah, probably. I believe they do.
South Sudan, they still don't. They're like the newest country.
Okay, maybe not South Sudan.
Okay, whatever. Name an African country, right? They have a currency, right? Presumably.
Mm-hmm.
Can they buy food with that currency? Presumably.
A lot of the time, no.
What do you mean?
They'd have to buy USD.
Here's my plan. We pick one country to sacrifice their economy.
US?
No. Just set up a bunch of printing presses, print unlimited money, buy unlimited food, solve world hunger, crash their economy, whatever. Now we're fine.
You could just do that with the U.S. dollar, but not crash the currency because they've printed so much money. It doesn't matter.
Also, the amount of food they waste every year is enough to fuel the entire world.
Yeah, that's why I said put the U.S. military on it. They could just spend money on logistics and solve the problem.
I hate, because like I don't hate capitalism. I hate
Cronyism.
Yeah, and I think there's a.
Well, I think, like us sitting here and bitching about what the solution is. That's not why the problem hasn't been solved, because there's benefit to not solving it, not because they can't. 100%. Like that needs to be understood. Like there is a problem.
Which is sad though, right?
Well, sure, but we live in a country. No, Canada is one of the worst offenders. Period. Like we basically have we're attached to the biggest gun in the world, America, and we have resource extraction is our industry.
Yeah, something like 70% of like resource extraction is Canada owned, like mines and shit.
More than 95% of mineral resources in Africa are controlled by Canadian companies.
Fucking wild, and we pretend like we're fucking non-aggressors in this whole thing.
Well, no, so basically Canada has ridiculously colonial companies that take control of other nations' natural resources and then use like the U.S. military to enforce their...
What are you gonna do? Fuck with us? Nope. U.S.
Exactly.
Hey, Biden, please. You know what I saw today?
Like, there literally tens of thousands of people have been killed over this shit.
Someone tweeted that Joe Biden is the most progressive president ever.
No. I think Lyndon Johnson was more progressive.
Bear with me here. Someone brought up Lyndon Johnson in the thread, because everyone was like immediately like, oh no, you fucking liberal. Like, no, he's not. But then somebody brought up Lyndon B. Johnson. Someone then included information on what Lyndon B. Johnson's military spending was like, what his policies on like immigration, like he was like super racist, and like it was a whole thing, and like and this thread that I was looking at on Twitter like came to the conclusion that yes, indeed, Biden is the most progressively left politician America's ever had, and he's a fascist. Like he is, he's still super far right.
Yeah,
and that is the most progressive. That's true, but he's still a Nazi. Basically, was the consensus.
Yeah, it's okay. We're gonna take the shot. So shot collar. Also, the fridge is open.
Oh no! Oh yeah, because I'm gonna put that ice back.
There's no ice left.
What? You used all the ice?
There was 2 cubes.
2 cubes?
I got
2 cubes. One for the drink and one for my
fireball.
balls. What?
Weird.
Hello, my name is Shot Caller. This is the segment that we do on this podcast where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. Today, this week's episode is sponsored by Fireball Whiskey, the whiskey with the cinnamon face.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers, motherfucker.
I love Fireball.
It's great.
You either love it or hate it.
So I want to mention the amazing quote I heard recently. It was from, I think, the speaker of the House, Democrat.
In America, not here.
Currently, yes, correct. Not the current speaker, but
Paul Ryan.
Yes, the quote.
What?
The quote was,
Paul Ryan was absolutely the Speaker of the House.
The Democrats are the party of reality.
And then everyone was outraged.
Yeah, and everyone's outraged and they're like roasting him.
But then...
And then they say, the second part of the quote is, and the Republican Party creates the reality. And the idea is, like, what I see in Democrats, what appeals to me about Democrats is they are, at least in their I'm not going to say in practice, but like in terms of rhetoric and when they're, running candidates and fucking campaigning and trying to get votes, they are passionate about governance. They talk about serving the people. They talk about, doing things that government is supposed to fucking do.
Isn't it wild that Republicans just campaign on like not helping people and they win?
Yeah, they just campaign on fucking hot button issues. But yeah, so the Democrats are like, okay, that sounds like government to me. It's not great, but it's government. And then on the other side, and they're always saying like, they're always on the defensive. They're the alternative. Like they're forever the alternative, maybe the best way to put it. They are the anti-Trump. They are the anti-whatever. They are the anti.
Yeah, I hate people that run their political party on. I'm better than the alternative. It's like, well, no.
That's all they've got.
Or it's called whataboutism.
Right.
Where someone brings up something bad and they're like, yeah, but what about Trump? He did it way worse. It's like, well, no.
Right.
Why are you doing it bad? Like, shut the fuck up.
Biden entirely ran on let's get back to business as usual. Which is,
the exact same thing you said earlier with I said kids in cages and you said, no, they have beds now.
Yeah.
That's, what about Trump? They didn't even have beds.
Yeah.
And you're missing the whole fucking point.
Yeah.
That he's still locking up children at the border.
Yeah.
What did you just say?
The idea is the Democrats want to govern.
Yeah.
The Republicans want power. That's the difference.
Sure.
And so Democrats want to do government. They want to do democracy. They want to play the game. Republicans want power, and they set the narrative. They decide what the issues are, and they choose whatever they're going to demagogue. They'll pick, it's fucking critical race theory, which is nonsensical. Like it's not really important.
Well, they've had an out recently with COVID, with the mask mandates and stuff. They've had a fucking easy, but yeah, critical race theory is a weird one.
Yeah. Then they're going super regressive in policy for abortion rights.
Do you see Texas schools aren't allowed to play Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech?
Oh God,
they've banned that.
Totally great idea.
What the fuck does that even mean?
That means you're whitewashing history because critical race theory is the opposite of whitewashing history.
Okay, explain to me like I'm 5 critical race theory, because I see it on Twitter all the time. I don't really understand it.
So critical race theory is, by definition, only really paid attention to or studied at like a PhD level.
Okay.
It's not something that can actually be taught at anything really below a PhD. So it's basically, it's like a meta discussion on the effects of discussing racism and how discussing racism is like an accusation to someone saying that you're saying someone is racist, right? So I'm really butchering this, but
yeah, I was gonna say this is not making any sense to me.
That's kind of the point of critical race theory. Is like it doesn't make sense unless you're a PhD specifically studying these issues. Like it's not fucking relevant.
We're not experts.
The actual term critical race theory is like it's not fucking relevant unless.
But they're teaching it to our children.
So what they are teaching to children is
slavery was bad.
They're trying to teach they're trying to demonstrate that a racial bias is real, and I will admit a lot of teachers do this really badly. And
see that video that went viral of the fucking woman in the native headdress?
It's that idea where they're going too far and being like, they're yelling at white kids, being like, you're racist, you're a bad kid because you're white and therefore you're racist. And like creating that environment where they're like, okay, you need to realize that you're inherently racist and that's evil and that's bad. And like, this is how you should be instead.
How I see it.
And America does not want to believe that America is racist.
How I see it, that I think a lot of capitalists don't want to see it, is that I am not racist at all. I'm not inherently racist. Yeah. White people aren't inherently racist, but Canada is built on an inherently racist system. and I benefit from being white in this racist system.
Right, and saying that is...
I can acknowledge that, though.
No, that's critical race theory, and should not be
Okay.
allowed. You should not be allowed to say that in
Because
school.
I can acknowledge that. Does that
Okay, no, sorry. Here, I'm gonna clarify.
read
really
the
quick.
Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a body of legal scholarship. This is what it is legal at like the PhD level. Body of legal scholarship and academic movement of U.S. civil rights scholars and activists who seek to examine the intersection of race and U.S. law and challenge mainstream American liberal approaches to racial justice. So it's how does racial bias affect legal proceedings?
Okay. So
Which is not fucking relevant
I have an example.
unless you're a lawyer.
Unless you're a lawyer, because why do elementary school
judge.
kids? Yeah. One of our friends, I will not go any more detail than that, was indicted for drug trafficking,
Mm-hmm.
and their lawyer, crown-appointed lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
said off the record to him, them, you're white, I think we have a pretty good chance.
Yep.
Basically, if you were, he literally said, and this lawyer is not like racist or anything, he's just been a lawyer for a long time, and he said, yeah, if you were Native, you'd be in jail right now.
Yeah.
The only reason we're able to appeal this is because you're white.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Like 80% of our prisons in this province are
Indigenous,
and
Canadians.
less than 15% of the population is Indigenous.
Yes, about 13% of our population is Indigenous, and 80% of our prison population is Indigenous.
Yeah, it's Canada's black people.
Yeah, we always say this is probably problematic to say, but I always say like America had the slaves, and that's why they still hate black people.
Yeah.
Because they still want to be in these fucking white people. These descendants of slave owners are racist because they're like, oh, you were my property once, which is bad, obviously. But the reason why they're not like that to Indigenous people is because they just killed them all.
True.
Canada put them in
Enslave them.
Enslaved them and put them in internment camps. Took their children away from them, put them in residential schools, which were internment camps for children.
Until 96, by the way.
Until 1996, the year I was born, they were literally... Yeah, I get mad every time I think about it. Like,
That's fucking disgusting.
I talked to a residential school survivor one time that said the kids that got killed were the lucky ones.
Yeah.
I remember they were telling me stories like they were the priests, the people that ran the school were making them like have sex with cows and stuff to like punish them, like
That tracks.
shit like that, like
To basically damn their souls to hell for eternity.
literally,
because
like,
it's an unforgivable sin.
stuff that's like so like forget raping a child. Beyond that,
Like, you know,
think about don't think about that. You
gonna
don't
say-
want to think about that.
you know how
But that's what they were doing in these fucking schools.
Yeah, you know the big big revelation that the Catholic Church was just a systematic, pedophilia ring, basically. The worst offenders got sent to these schools.
The Pope's coming here next month. The Vatican just literally 2 days ago, I just sent in my other group chat. They to acknowledge
To Winnipeg?
well, he's doing the whole country. To acknowledge
Oh, this should be interesting.
residential school stuff, and I sent that to my.
To acknowledge it or to apologize?
So here's the thing: I sent the article to my company group chat. My very, very native employee Wyatt, shout out Wyatt, Sculler 101 on Twitch, go follow him. He was like,
You could not be more Aboriginal than Wyatt.
Wyatt is the most Aboriginal is offensive, by the way.
What?
Yeah. Indigenous.
Sorry, Indigenous.
I say
Really?
native. Yeah, Aboriginal is like not okay anymore.
Okay, fair enough.
He says Indigenous.
Okay.
I say Indigenous and Native like 50-50. I don't think Native's offensive.
I think it's
personally.
I think it's like a simile.
There are people that use it derogatorily, but I don't think it's. I use native just as like a whatever.
Anyways,
we still have the Indian Act in Canada that governs native people. Yeah. So anyway, he said I sent that article to him, and he responded with, "Oh, so he can call us savages to our faces."
Gold.
Well, what was the fucking who was the Prince Philip that just died like last year?
Yeah, thank God.
Thank God. As late as like 2000, like 15, he was in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Meeting with what is it? Maui?
I don't know.
Maui. The indigenous people in New Zealand. Maui.
I have no idea.
Maui. He was meeting with them, their elders, and he was like asking if they like still hunted with spears and shit. Like he was like, this is like documented on camera. He was like, "Oh, you still live in fuck," and like they're like, "No,
yeah,
we have a investment fund. We trade on the stock market. Like we're like,
yeah,
what
he's
are you talking about?"
really fucking racist.
Yeah,
like Prince Philip is well documented. A colossal fucking racist.
Some of my the Maui people, these people I'm talking about, these New Zealand natives, much higher population, native to white people versus in Canada, and they do a lot of like full body tattoos and stuff. And my favorite is they'll show up to court hearings in like traditional, like indigenous garb and shit, and it's awesome. Like you watch these white people squirm.
Oh, that's so cool.
The same thing here when our chiefs have to like defend something in court, they'll show up with the fucking headdress.
Yeah.
And you see these white people just squirm.
Yeah,
like,
it's
awesome.
It's very bad optics for that lawyer to talk shit.
That was in Billion. I'm wearing a Axe Capital shirt right now. That was in Billions. They're trying to get the season 5, I think. They're trying to get like this bill passed or whatever, and then Chuck's father's like banging the native girl. So he has like the whole tribe, whatever. And then like the lawyer walks into the room, and the chick puts on her headdress. And he's like, "Oh no!" And she's like, "I either get on TV looking like this, or we strike a deal right now."
Yeah, it's effective.
And fuck white people, honestly.
On that note, if you think Trump isn't racist, listen to his.
He's not racist. Do you see that video of him talking about the burritos in Trump Tower?
No.
There's a video of I'll send it to you later. It's so I think it's he's sitting and the camera's like here. It's like on his forehead.
Yeah.
It's a really weird angle. He's like, "We have the best." I do a bad Trump. We have the best tacos in Trump Tower. We have the best tacos. That's like a Mark Wahlberg. And he's like eating a taco and he's like, "This is the best. We have the best Mexican chefs. I love Mexico. We have the best tacos." And I share that every Cinco de Mayo because I think it's really funny. So he's not racist, obviously.
Also, same Trump Towers. Every time he visits, the staff knows to like hide all the non-white people from his sight. Because he fucking goes off.
Trump, along with Rosa Parks, was awarded a award from the NAACP at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a picture of him and Rosa Parks beside each other, getting an award from the NAACP on because he employed so many black people, disproportionate to the state that he was living in.
Yeah, and then fuck them over because that's what he does to everyone he employs. Look at the lawsuits of people that he employs. It's unfucking believable. I was gonna say, if you want to see how not racist Trump is, his congressional testimony when he was applying for a casino license. It was like the only time he had a congressional testimony.
Trump casino?
Before he was political.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy goes off for like 3 hours and just says the cringiest shit.
Okay.
Like clearly Like, the guy is trying to make an argument, like a business case, but just says the most racist shit you can imagine.
For what?
Basically saying these brown people are robbing you blind because they're natives and they run casinos.
Oh, not ideal.
Yeah, like, just like all, like, everything. If you think treaty land, casino, all the stereotypes, he said them. Because
I love the treaty casino thing, the native casino thing, because
agreed.
I don't know how it works in America, but in Canada, native reserves are sovereign territory. They're technically not Canada.
Yeah.
Governed under the same criminal code, but not under the same tax law. So any and gambling taxes, alcohol taxes, tobacco taxes, sin tax in general in Canada is very, very high.
Yeah.
Compared to other developed nations, we're very high on stuff like alcohol and tobacco and gambling. But if you make your casino on reservation land, you don't pay those fucking taxes.
Yeah.
You can run the same business as somebody else and make 50% more margin. That's a fucking good business investment.
Absolutely.
100%.
Same with gas stations.
Res gas is a thing. Yeah, because petrol taxes in Canada are like half the price you pay for fucking petrol is taxes.
Yeah.
But you have a gas station on res land, you have to show your
treaty card.
Treaty card. But there's even strips of land in Winnipeg in a major city that are technically reservation, and they have fucking gas stations on there. You don't pay fucking taxes.
Yep. On Madison Avenue, right by Polo Park.
Madison Ave?
Yep.
That's where Mad Men?
Yep. Yeah, Mad Men are just down the street.
Yeah. But
actually, I think it's a quick loop, but
it's fine. But and then the same thing with we had there was a marijuana store on Urban Reserve in Winnipeg, and they were selling, in quotes, I'm not saying this, illegal marijuana. So we legalized marijuana, when was that, 2014?
Whenever Trudeau got in.
16? 14? Something like that. It's been a while now. We've legalized marijuana. And the fact that they still use the words illegal marijuana is baffling. Fuck off. It's legal.
There is no illegal marijuana.
You know what I can do in my house right now?
Grow it.
No. Make wine.
Snort it?
Make wine.
Yeah.
And share it with my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I can't do? Grow marijuana and share it with my friends.
Makes sense.
You have to have a medical license to grow marijuana. I can't grow recreational marijuana. But I can make recreational wine.
Or anything else.
I could even make a wine business if I wanted to. If I were inclined.
If you were so inclined.
If I was so inclined. But marijuana is a higher... The license to get a marijuana license is much harder.
Yeah.
I couldn't... Like, when I was getting my wine license, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. I couldn't have got a marijuana license for the same amount of money.
No, not even close.
They're like, oh yeah, you got to put in $5 million. You got to do all this shit. You have to have production, all this shit. It's and then how we started. Now it's a little bit different, but they started, they're like, oh yeah, there's 10 licenses. Bid for them. So big corporations got them all.
Yeah,
because you had to bid for them. It's a little bit different now, and that's why there's been like a ton of weird small pop-ups, dispensaries opening. But how do you legalize something and then still have illegal? Fuck off, literally.
That's cronyism.
So there was an urban reserve in Winnipeg that had a weed store that was selling illegal marijuana, in quotations. Marijuana not grown by like a vetted source. But it was safe, obviously, right? Whatever. So LGCA, the Liquor, Gaming, and Cannabis Authority, coincidentally the same authority that regulates me, tried to shut down the dispensary. Their official response was, hey, LGCA, the only reason we got a license is as a courtesy to you. We're on sovereign native land. We do not require a license from LGCA. Politely, comma, you can go fuck yourself. That's not what they said, but
in corporate speak.
To that effect was like the only reason we were playing along getting licenses is because we wanted to be cooperative. If you're going to tell us this is illegal, you can literally go fuck yourself. I'll see you in court. And you know what they did? They sued them. So that was like a year ago. It still is in court. I'm following it very closely because that'll set precedent for marijuana marijuana legislation for the entire province and maybe the country. So I follow it very closely. But they're just like, yeah, sue me. We're gonna keep doing it.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, which is awesome.
I'm waiting for the day when someone wins a lawsuit saying like taxation is theft. I think that's the hill that you're gonna die on. You're gonna build your entire you're gonna build wealth for your entire life, and you're gonna die on the hill of suing the government for taxation as theft.
And I somehow prove it through some loophole.
No, you're not gonna prove it. You're just gonna pipe bomb everyone that opposes you, and eventually win.
It's fine. Allegedly.
No, you're gonna condone the pipe bombings that happen.
I would never hurt anyone in the entire world.
I have never been convicted of a crime.
I have never been convicted of a crime.
I don't know what a pipe bomb is. No, I think that's a fun hill to die on. I think everybody needs a hill to die on, and I just wish that some people didn't base that on stupid fucking reasons. Like that. The worst part about growing up, I think, is understanding that there's nuance in the world. Because I think the easiest part of your life is when you become aware of the world and you grow up. You're 19 to 25, and you think the world is a certain way and is binary. It's good or bad. It's this or that. The worst part about growing up is nuance and realizing that. Sure. And realizing that there's no right answer to anything, and everyone is disagreeing for different reasons, and it doesn't matter what you believe. You can't reconcile you cannot reconcile your opinion with someone else, and everyone's got a fucking hill they're gonna die on, and you're just you're in this immovable position. And fucking talk to a boomer, figure out what their immovable position is. It's really depressing. I think the most depressing thing today that someone could tell me is I'm a genuine fan of the Tucker Carlson show. And at that point,
Tucker Carlson,
I literally want to shoot myself in the face.
When you watch, I've never seen.
No. When someone tells me that they like.
Word.
That's enough.
Have you ever watched an episode?
Not an entire. I can't. I can hardly get through a clip. Never mind an episode.
I have never seen a clip in my entire life. I've only ever seen memes that obviously aren't what he's saying.
It's beyond parody. It's disgusting. It's really hard to watch.
To the point where Fox News is like, this isn't our opinions.
No, they have to say this is entertainment,
not news.
Not news, because he lies so frequently that they just they couldn't survive the lawsuits.
Do you have to tell the truth if you have a news station?
No.
Then what are we talking? Why would you get sued?
Defamation.
Okay. Yeah.
If you say it's comedy.
Oh, it's parody.
Right.
It's not. Yeah, parody is a very.
That's their defense. But that doesn't.
Fair use.
Right, but that does not exempt you from defamation because comedy can be defaming.
Yeah.
If you can prove damages.
I know South Park gets away with defamation all the time.
Right.
Because it's a parody. It's making fun of it. It's comedy. Defamation is when you lie about somebody.
Correct. Which you can. So if you have comedy, but you're explicitly lying.
At the beginning of every comedy show, it says any similarities to any living person, real or imaginary, is completely coincidental.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything, you know.
Right.
There's a reason why they put that.
So there's also a reason that Dominion voting system is probably going to be successful against Fox News and Tucker Carlson and fucking Rudy Giuliani and all these people.
That's different.
That's different because they were reporting as fact.
Yes, exactly.
And
South Park.
Dominion voting system has the best defense. If you're not aware, they serve one county in LA, and that's it.
One time, Eric Cartman fed his bully's parents to him.
Nice.
And then Radiohead came and they laughed at him because that was his favorite band. It was a whole thing. Nobody watches that and says Radiohead endorses cannibalism.
Right.
Because they're like, this is a dumb cartoon and it's funny.
This is South Park.
When Kanye West likes fish sticks and Cartman's like, what, you like fish sticks? And he's like, no, I like fish sticks. He's like, you like fish sticks? And then everyone thinks he's a gay fish.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, he turns into a mermaid and becomes a gay fish.
Amazing.
No one's suing Trey Parker and Matt Stone for defamation.
Because...
if they did, they'd laugh at it.
Right, because it's not effective defamation of character, because it's... if anything, you promoted the brand. You brought awareness to that
stupid cartoon.
Right.
But when Tucker Carlson comes on TV and he says, I am a news anchor, this is what is the real news, and then he lies.
I'm not saying that these protests are because X, Y, Z, but isn't it funny that, like, that language is... this is why I can't watch the show.
Do you know if he's been successfally sued?
I don't think so.
Because that wording's very important. When you say, well, here are the facts. Here's the video.
I'm not saying that.
I'm not saying anything, but it kind of looks like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of...
It's incitement, it's insinuation, it's like, it's non-statements of untrue facts that lead the listener to certain conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having been in a sales organization where we had to skirt the rules of securities, I fucking know what this language looks like. I've written this language, and he's like, this is how he lives, breathes, and grows, is on this gray language that is saying nothing but insinuating X, Y, Z, and it's 100% intentional. Is really fucking nasty.
I think people like that pretend to be dumber than they are.
100%. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like,
I think Trump knows exactly what he's doing.
He is a high-ticket salesperson that has got a grift, that has him paid an unbelievable amount of money, and like, he's running the grift and he's gonna run it to death, and that's all he cares about. Like, the guy did a fucking keynote for Viktor Orban's Hitler Youth.
Really?
He doesn't give a shit.
Okay.
Like, the only difference between this keynote that he did for Viktor Orban's organization, this organization, the only difference between it and Hitler's Nazi Youth
is branding.
Is pretty much the logo. Like, that's explicitly the difference. You know what my favorite, that's about it.
You know what my favorite thing is? Pictures of like Nazi white supremacist protesters with like Nazi flags, and they're like fat. Yeah. And then the caption is, "This is the master race." That's my favorite. It's like these fucking Confederate inbred fucking people that are like, "This is the master race."
The irony, like, this is why they...
Dude, Idris Elba, handsome as fuck.
There's...
You know what he had to do recently? He's in the Sonic movie sequel, Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Mm-hmm. He plays Knuckles the Echidna.
Okay.
He had to agree to not play Knuckles sexy. I'm not even kidding. This is real. Google this.
Because he's too sexy.
This is real. Because Idris Elba is so sexy that the producers were like, okay, you got to tone it down. I'm not even kidding.
That's fucking unreal.
But that's a black man. How is he sexy? Because he is. Fuck off.
He is. He's sexy as hell.
Final thoughts. We're gonna transition into the last
Segment
here. Coming up on 2 hours.
Final thoughts. THOTS.
You should have seen the fucking math that went in my head to figure that out.
You just spelled it out in the air. I think it's really fun that Stephen Harper was originally the leader of the Canadian Fascist Party.
What the fuck are we talking about?
I mean, do your fucking research, understand history and context of the people you listen to, and
nothing is real. Don't understand context. Fuck it.
Okay, I'll buy that. Yeah, if you like Tucker Carlson, prove me wrong. I don't know. Tell me why he's relevant. Tell me why he's useful. Tell me why should get a literal hour of my time.
And because we're saying Tucker Carlson, that's any coincidental relation to a person that's real.
That's obviously
completely
fictitious.
coincidental. Yeah,
I'm referring to the SNL skit actually.
Yeah. We're gonna transition here into the last segment that we call Business Tip of the Week, where Tyler and I give you a business tip, something that we are personally going through this week. So I have one. I'll start us off if you want to think about yours. It relates to my time this week on TV and the radio, because without jerking myself off too much, they called on me because I was an expert on this subject.
Yeah.
But my tip is how to set yourself up as an expert on that subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've talked about this before, but press releases are super important. I think
super useful
as a tool. Super got me very far with my business. Take your business. Doesn't matter. It's only you. I don't give a shit. Take your business, get your logo, put it on the top left-hand corner of a fucking Google Doc. On the top right-hand corner, put your phone number, your address, your business name. Not in that order. I'm pretty drunk. In a better order than that. Your contact email and your website.
Google press release template.
And mimic it. But send out press releases no more than once a month. I do mine once a quarter, once every 3 months. Because you don't want to spam people.
Yeah.
I've already talked about how to build a media list. I've talked about this on this podcast before. Yeah. I will link. I probably will forget, but you can search that. You'll figure it out. If not, comment that you didn't figure it out, and I will email you.
Tell you which episode to listen to.
Yeah. But quarterly, for a year, send out press releases, and even if it's because when I was starting the business, I was sending out press releases because I knew I would get in the press, in the news, to promote myself. But now I do it any big. I'm drunk.
That was really weird.
That was weird. Any big, yeah. Twice I tried to correct it and I couldn't. That was weird. Any big accomplishment, I send it out, even though I don't think it's gonna get me in the news necessarily, but because it's one more okay, he did that, he did this, he did this.
Yeah.
So that one day when there's a wine bottle shortage, you know what Hal Anderson's first thought is? That fucking Willows guy.
The wine guy.
He knows that guy.
Yeah.
He knows the answer, right? So no matter what your industry is, you're the soap expert. You're hey, send out a press release that says, I'm actually trying a new, even if it's not your new thing, but I'm trying a new soap making strategy right now.
And here's why yours is wrong. Talk radio, talk TV,
advertising,
loves that shit.
Yeah, they love it. Yeah.
They need to fill time.
I learned this fucking thing from Hungary, from some Hungarian forum, and it's the better way. And then title it, America is making soap wrong. Hungary has it right. Here's someone in New Hampshire that is doing it. And then if you're a New Hampshire soap maker, send that out, right?
Specifically, just you.
Yeah, just you.
Rest of you don't have any advice here.
That's my advice, though, is that frame yourself as an expert, even though you're not the best expert. I'm not a fucking I was going to say linguistics. I'm not a fucking logistics expert.
Yeah.
But I set myself as an expert in this category.
You're a victim of logistics.
And people called on me. So that's my business tip of the week is set yourself up as an expert. If you need my help, Willows, WILLOWS at shrugdoc, SHRUGDOC.com. That's my email. Send me an email. I will help you for free. Or for a nude if you're a boy. I don't want those girl nudes.
Good pitch.
Cheers.
And also, don't count yourself out before you try. I know a guy that got like a 15-minute TV segment on landscaping. And like basically how landscaping and like planting flowers and whatever, it's like taken off since the pandemic started. It's like how to properly plan your flower gardens. Yeah, he got coverage, bunch of jobs. Fantastic idea no matter who you are, because you never know, like that those reporters, they have a pretty high quota for content, and being in that state, it's very, very difficult to generate that amount of unique content and information week after week, day after day, and they literally have a quota, number of articles, headlines that they got to put out. So put yours in their inbox and they might pick you. My tip, I think, would be kind of along the I'm going to right in the next week or two starting 2 new employees, and they are both basically winter staff, where they have summer jobs and that they enjoy but also need work for winter, and are going to be working for us over the wintertime. So I have the unique challenge of how do you take someone that is interested in working for you but is not in the position where, like, I'm going to be committed. How do you then sell that person? I'm not going to give this as like here's the answer, business tip. I'm going to say think creatively of what you would want as an employee, but more importantly, ask a lot of questions and tease out of your employees what their values are, what they want to see out of an employer, and figure out how to provide that to them, because they more than likely, if they're working for you, if they are going out of their way, part-time or whatever, volunteering or very low commitment level working for you, they probably have a very strong personal reason to do so. And the reason that they're not fully committed is probably your fault, and you're not providing to them.
That's a hot take.
You're probably, if someone's not fully committed, but they also enjoy working for you. If someone's like, I really like your business, I like doing this work, but
what's their but?
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that they're there is almost, think of it as like their cry for help, and you're ignoring.
They want you.
Yes.
To
right.
Make it. Yeah.
It's like if a girl says yes to a date, that's an opening. She's saying,
prove to me
that
you understand me,
yeah,
and you can take me somewhere that I will like.
Yes.
That's why girls hate.
That's a very good way to put it.
That's why girls hate, I don't know, whatever you want to go.
Yes.
That's why they don't hate, they don't necessarily like the man taking charge and being like, here's where we're going, here's what we're doing, here's what you're wearing. They want you to analyze what they want.
Yeah.
And be able to do it.
Yep.
And that's the same with business, because at the end of the day, girls are businesses. Wait.
Yeah, they're not going to...
What do you mean, yeah?
Yes. Your employees are not going to explicitly tell you, I want this, and if you do that, I will do X.
No.
That is your responsibility. You have to tease it out of them.
And if you're saying right now, well, how the fuck am I supposed to know? Maybe you shouldn't be a business person.
When's the last time you fucking asked?
Yeah, man.
It's
that easy.
You don't have to be subtle. You can outright ask.
It's your business.
Yep.
They're your employee.
If you say to someone, what can I do for you? And they're offended.
Why would... Who Who would
Exactly.
be offended by that?
Exactly.
Yeah, word.
Ask the fucking question, and if staffing is an issue for you, if retention is an issue for you, realize you're likely the problem.
Or do undercover boss.
Most people here are not that big. Where they're such a big corporation that the employees don't know who the boss is.
You see that SNL, I think it was SNL, undercover boss where Kylo Ren is becomes like a first order engineer. Day 77 of Willows making Star Wars references that Tyler doesn't understand. Anyway, well, thank you. You're done, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Ask questions.
Thanks for listening to Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast. This is the podcast where we debate business topics, both sober and drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusion. My name is Willows. That's Vote Willows, VOTEWILLOWS on everything, literally everything. Think of something. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Steam. I don't know, name a thing. Discord.
Yeah, okay. My name
don't
is
add me on all that shit. Just
no. My name is Tyler.
Your name is Tucker Carlson.
Hit me up. Follow me on Instagram, Tyler _builder.
Got it finally.
Whew. I would Twitter, but I couldn't be bothered. If you want me to write you a really good resignation letter, I will do it. Email me why, where, when, and how, and I will send something either scathing, heartfelt, abusive, you name it. I'll write it for you, and yeah, that is my final offer. I'm gonna regret this in 3 years when this podcast blows up.
True.
It'll sprout into a side business.
I'll sprout you.
I'm down.
Okay. Alcohol Beyond This Point.
Thanks.
On Instagram, Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook. Sprout.
Like, share, comment, subscribe, tag your bitches. Just smacks the mic.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.